Hey guys, Sacdaddy here with a new review video. My friends have recently started getting me into watching anime, and I was an anime virgin prior to 2 weeks ago, but I've watched a few so far, and I thought it would be fun to make a review video of a few of them. The first one I'm going to start with is one of my friend's favorite ones. It's called Oregairu, or My Teen Romantic Comedy Snafu. This anime features three main protagonists who are in a service club, which is a club dedicated to helping their fellow students out, students in high school, with their problems. It doesn't really matter what their problem is, the aim of the club is to solve it. The three main characters of the show, you've got Hachiman, Yukinoshita, and Yui. Hachiman is the main protagonist of the story. Most of everything is shown through his eyes. Hachiman is a loner who doesn't really believe in the social constructs of society. He hates all interaction. He tries to deal with people the very least possible. He's sarcastic. He's mostly just kind of a dick in general. No one really likes him, and it really takes a long time for even his friends in the service club to grow to like him. He's called gross by many of the girls, and the guys don't really see him. He's just pretty much ignored. The second protagonist is Yukinoshita. She is the model student for girls. She is beautiful, she's intelligent, she's witty, and everyone envies her. And because of this envy throughout her life, she's become a loner just like Hachiman. She doesn't need to talk to anyone to feel validated. She spends most of her time alone in her service club that she started, where she helps out people who have problems. Yukinoshita was in the club alone until Hachiman was forced to join by his teacher. The teacher puts Hachiman in there kind of as punishment. She says, hey, you're kind of a dick, you're a little snarky bitch, I'm going to put you with Yukinoshita. She doesn't really talk to anyone either, so you guys are kind of alike, we're going to put you together and see if you can do something great. Third protagonist is Yui. She is the bubbly, big bitsy girl. That's a bad description. But she serves as the third piece of a love triangle between Hachiman, Yukinoshita, and her. She serves as pretty much a scapegoat for any kind of social fall from grace that needs to happen. If someone's not smart enough to read a situation, Yui takes the place of that. If someone doesn't understand something, Yui takes the place. She is just kind of like the fall girl. So that's kind of her place in the story. She is a very fun character and is always upbeat and kind of serves to push the plot forward. The anime does take place in a high school setting, so do expect some of the regular high school tropes that you're going to have with many high school animes. One problem that I did have with this anime is that a lot of the comedy within it is very Japanese. There were a lot of things that I didn't really understand, why they were supposed to be funny. There were a lot of things in the show that were very dramatic and, very sad, emotional moments. But then again, I also didn't really understand. I attribute this mostly to cultural differences, as I didn't really understand the situation, and I think that's just because of the American versus Japanese standpoint. Like I said, I am very inexperienced with the Japanese culture, and I don't really understand quite a lot of what they're saying sometimes. It could be due to bad translation in the subtitles, or it could just be the culture differences. I'm assuming it's the culture differences. Now, the service club is the main driving plot point of the show. The three characters help their fellow classmates out with whatever they need, whether it be helping someone get better at tennis, finding out if a girl likes a boy, helping someone make cookies. This is what it all centers around, is helping the students. And what I did like about this anime quite a bit was that the character development through helping their fellow students out is very subtle, but very clear at the end. What I mean by that is that throughout the story, you can see very small changes in the characters in the way they interact with each other and the outside world. But from episode to episode, it doesn't change very much, but you can see from the beginning to the end that the characters have changed quite a bit. I like this because this is a high school setting, and helping someone learn how to make cookies is not a life-changing event. It's not something that's going to revolutionize your worldview. So I think that the small character interactions with the subtle character development makes for a much more realistic show, one that I enjoyed much more than if someone confessed their love and then somehow became Gandhi. Went from being a piece of shit to world's greatest guy. I think that that kind of a change is a much more interesting one than the massive personality changes. One thing that I thought was really great with the characters is how they interact with their family members. You've got Hachiman, who is this cold asshole to everyone at school, but at home he has a loving younger sister whom he treats quite affectionately and makes sure she's doing good. He really loves his sister, and the contrast between how he treats his sister at home versus how he deals with people in the outside world is just a fantastic juxtaposition that really shows the differences in Hachiman, and how he's not actually just a cold, bitter person who hates social constructs. I think he's just someone who's been wronged throughout his life and hasn't yet to come around, because he's really not that bad of a guy. He's just someone who doesn't have that much social experience yet and is just kind of fucking up. He's just fucking up. Now, the second character, who also follows the same trend of being different at school and with family members, is Yukino Shida, because she has an older sister who it's inferred that has basically been the girl that she looks up to. Her older sister is this exceptional young woman who does business dealings with her family's high-ranking political affiliations, and she was all these great things in high school. Everyone looked up to her. She's this bubbly, fun girl who's sexy and cute, and Yukino Shida has had to live up to all these expectations. And you can see that her relationship with her sister is not very good, and her dealings with her are it seems to be anxious and angsty, while her dealings with her fellow classmates are much more cold and calculated, whereas with her sister, unsure, and then classmates is much more steady. Those contrasts between the characters and how they deal with, their family members versus how they're dealing with their classmates, it shows a lot for their personality and how those relationships evolve. I felt that was a good avenue of development. Unfortunately, Yui is kind of an outlier, as even though she is a main protagonist, she probably has the least character development. She stays the same the most. I think she's mostly just a conduit for the other characters' development. Which is okay. I think she's a decent character overall for what she is, and there really isn't too much need for her to change. The outside forces and different situations that occur throughout the show don't really apply much pressure for Yui to change outside of how she interacts with Hachiman and Yukino, but her overall personality doesn't really change much. So unfortunately, I would have liked to see more with her character, but it's understandable that we don't. One thing I really liked about this show was that the supporting characters in the show were very well defined and made for pretty interesting side stories. One thing that I don't like a lot is when a show has side characters that don't really have very much personality. But in this one, characters like Totsuka, I don't know if I said that right, and Hayama, they're already well-defined characters who have set personalities, and the interactions with them and the main protagonists are interesting because of the clash of personalities. I like this a lot, as I think it helps develop the characters and shows the contrast, and it also helps highlight the small character development that I was talking about, as the interactions with these side characters start to change from the beginning of the show towards the middle, towards the end. And it's definitely much more involved in the second season of the show, which is where a lot more character development happens. The first season is mostly basically just setting. It kind of sets up all the characters, sets up their personalities for the second season, which is, I think, where most of the meat of the show happens. So if you're looking for, the good plot arcs the second season's more where you're at, with the first one just kind of explaining, where everything is at the moment. So overall with the show, I enjoyed it. I thought it was a decent watch. It's not a great show. It's not something that had me on the edge of my seat every time, but it was a cute, interesting little cartoon that held my attention. There are some episodes where the plot drags on and you can probably skip those episodes and you'd be completely fine. But overall, I wanted to watch the next episode every time. After everyone was done, I was actually quite ready to watch the next one, which I think is indicative of a good show. So, on a scale of 1 being the absolute worst anime that's ever been created, I haven't watched that many. I have never seen a 1, nor do I really want to. 10 being the best anime of all time. Don't think I've ever seen a 10 either, but then again, I haven't watched that many. I'm rating this as a 7 because I thought that the character development was very nice and steady. I felt that the plot, while being very small time and being in a high school setting, still held my attention quite well and had me wanting more. So overall, I think this is a good watch. I think if you're an anime fan, you'll like it even more than I did. If you're not an anime fan, I still think it's a decent show worth watching. I didn't watch a dub. I only watched the subtitled versions. And I felt the voice acting was decent and the subtitles did enough for me to really understand the story, outside of a few outliers where I didn't understand what was going on, but then again, there weren't that many, and I feel that's just Japanese culture, not being quite understood by an American. So, I hope you like this video. I hope I did an okay job reviewing without really tearing apart the story and ruining it for anyone. So, I fucking hate outros. Thanks.